Hey, what's up YouTube?
Hey, what's up YouTube?
Back again at ya.
Back again at you with Joe from Seattle.
I just want to make a quick rant, or kind of a quick rant video. Yeah, I just want to talk about it because it's kind of annoying me a little bit now, because like...
What, your monitor setup? The fact that your keyboard is not parallel with your main monitor? Or maybe the fact that your taskbar is at the top, but you have icons at the bottom, and that's just driving me insane. Also, apologies for my voice. It is my first spring living in Colorado, and as such, my nose and throat are trying to leave my body. Sorry, go ahead.
It's really bugging me. Like, really bugging me.
It's seriously bugging me too.
I just want to talk about it, and you could disagree if you want.
Oh, gladly, thank you. I'm glad I have your permission to disagree with you.
Quite frankly, don't give a shit.
I also think it's funny when people say, oh, I don't give a shit if people disagree with me. It's like, well, why'd you say it? I never say stuff like that in my videos because I literally don't care. And also I recognize that not everyone's going to agree with the things I say. They should, because I think I'm right, but that's a different topic.
Anyway, my thoughts on PC gaming in recent times is changing.
Me too. As time goes on and the consoles get more and more shitty and business practices in the AAA sphere get worse and worse, I appreciate PC gaming even more. Also, can you guys hear that? That's my coffee machine. We only drink hardcore coffee in here.
My interest in PC gaming is still there, but I'm losing interest in it. Why? Because it's stressful.
Stressful? Video games are stressful?
I'm getting sick and tired of just PC gaming in general.
And I'm sure you'll do a fantastic job explaining this.
When it's fun, it's fun. It's great. Brilliant. When it works, great. But
when it works? I don't like where this is going.
In the past 2 or 3 years or so, actually even longer than that, I've noticed games coming out.
So longer than 3 years ago. So everything he's about to say is like an ongoing problem, I guess.
They've been severely buggy, man. Like...
No. I'm really tired of people saying that PC ports are like regularly buggy or regularly broken. It's just not true. And as I said in my previous response video, a bad PC port 90% of the time, or more than 90% of the time, a bad PC port is still running better than the console counterpart. Future Joe coming at you live here from the editing booth. I meant to say console counterpart. My allergies are making me want to die. Shut up. And that's another reason why I've been appreciating PC gaming more and more. So are there subpar PC ports? Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of subpar PC ports, but I would not consider them bad because they're still the best version of that game. It doesn't excuse the subparness, it doesn't excuse the issues, but it's better than the competition. Also, my coffee maker has stopped yelling at me, so I'm gonna go get coffee. One sec.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
I'm back now. I took a while. I'm sorry. My audio recording's been going for 8.5 minutes, and I'm only a minute into his video, so this will be fun to edit.
Really buggy. Like, they come out, they're unoptimized, piece of shit garbage games.
Unoptimized piece of shit garbage games. Where could you find those?
I can name one of them right now. Cyberpunk 2077 runs like complete shit.
Cyberpunk also had to be pulled from sales for the consoles because it didn't work. This is what I mean. I'm not excusing Cyberpunk's performance. I'm not excusing Cyberpunk's problems. But are we really going to start talking shit about the PC version without bringing up what the other versions were like? This game is still rather popular on Steam. When's the last time you heard anything about Cyberpunk on console?
I don't know how it runs on the consoles.
No, it doesn't run on the consoles. That's the point.
But on my PC, with an RTX 2080 in it, and a very good CPU.
Wait, but what is it? You said your graphics card, but then you didn't. So what is your CPU?
9600K, and even that's probably not even good enough anymore. That's how I feel. Like, hardware just updates all the time, and it's just so much money.
Hardware updates all the time, yes, but that doesn't mean you have to partake in it. Last time I upgraded my computer was a few months ago, And that was just out of having some disposable income. That wasn't because I had to do it. It was because I had some money and I wanted to.
Goes into your PC, but what for? Like,
For better performance, for more options, for more variety, for helping you tailor your build to what you want, for what?
I know a lot about PCs,
I mean, clearly not.
but I feel like I spend, or people spend, I've done it in the past, I fell for it, too much money on your PC. You spend way too much money on it for nothing.
I mean, if you have no self-control, sure. If you have no critical thinking skills, sure. Any actual PC gamer I've ever talked to has never complained about having all the money they've had to spend, because it's really not hard to understand how much money you should be spending.
The amount of time I was upgrading my GPU because I wanted to play a specific game was just off the charts.
We're gonna need a source on that.
These GPUs cost ridiculous amount of money. Like, ridiculous. I mean, you're talking, the RTX 3090, £1,800, £2,000 in the UK. I don't know what it is in the US, around the world.
The 30 series aren't really a good gauge of what GPU prices are right now because the stock is so... I mean, it's the same thing with the consoles. It's like the consoles retail for $400, $500. That's not how much they're being sold for, though. The retail price of the 30 series are 500, 6, 7. I forget what they are off the top of my head. But that's not what they're selling for because the stock is so low. What you're describing has nothing to do with PC gaming, actually. It has to do with just the short supply of hardware for pretty much all technology right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but the last year has been a little slow on the world economic side.
For me, that's a lot of fucking money. It's too much money.
So buy something cheaper or wait until prices go down. Again, with the whole lack of critical thinking.
How long is that RTX 3090 going to last? People claim another 5 years.
The 3090 will last you a very long time. Like a stupid long time. The higher cards of the 10 series and the 20 series are still treating people just fine. So yes, the 3090, that will last you a very long time. Also, I love how when my allergies kick up, my voice just kind of gets deeper. I don't know why that is.
People claim another 5 years. Another 5 years. That's bullshit. It won't last another 5 years. In 5 years' time, it'll be able to play 1080p at high settings, not ultra, high settings in about 5 years' time, okay?
Excuse me? Wait. Let me hear that again.
People claim another 5 years. Another 5 years. That's bullshit. It won't last another 5 years. In 5 years' time, it'll be able to play 1080p at high settings, not ultra, high settings in about 5 years' time, okay?
You think in 5 years, the 3090 will only be able to do 1080p high? Sir.
The 3080 is not a 4K card. For now, great, it is. Give it a year, that'll be a 1080p, 1440p card.
Oh my god. I really try not to ad hominem in these videos. I really try not to. I try to keep my arguments very focused. I try to just talk about the things that people say. But the things that you just said are some really dumb shit. This is the RTX 2070. This is the card I have right now. This card runs everything I want at 1080p, pretty much any settings I want, and at an acceptable frame rate. I would also like to point out that this game performs better at 1080p than the new consoles do. And since I'm playing at 1080p, that's what I'm focusing on. I'm a 1080p guy still, because I'm a frame rate whore. This is the GTX 1070. This is the card I upgraded from. And I upgraded in, like November, I think? November or December of last year, I upgraded. So I was running the 1070 up until November, December of last year. And this isn't to say these cards only work at 1080p. I'm just using my experience as a 1080p gamer. And in the grand scheme of things, most gamers are still at 1080p. But could I hit 4K? Could I hit 1440p with the 2070? Oh, you know I could. You know it. It does not take a whole lot to get great performance out of games anymore, especially on the PC, because even lower-end hardware is so much stronger than what mid to high-end hardware was, however many years ago. And that trend is just going to keep continuing. I'll put my money where my mouth is. When Doom Eternal came out, I was on a GTX 1070. I played that game at ultra settings, and I was hovering around 70 FPS the whole time. 70 FPS, ultra settings, on a GTX 1070. You seem to be buying into the whole delusion that since new PC hardware comes out, that automatically degrades what's come before it. No, it simply raises the ceiling. It doesn't degrade what's come before. That's not how this works. And I get the notion of what you're saying, that the standards today for ultra settings are lower than what the standards for ultra settings will be in 5-6 years. But again, ultra settings, 70 FPS on a 1070. What you're describing is not real.
Okay, too much money, and the games are just unoptimized, and too much money for the hardware. It's ridiculous money.
You're talking about two different things here interchangeably, and it's really bugging me. You're talking about poorly optimized games, which, yes, a poorly optimized game is going to take more hardware power to get it functional. And you're also talking about expensive hardware, but those two things are unrelated. And expensive hardware doesn't make up for an unoptimized game. An unoptimized game holy fuck. An unoptimized game is an unoptimized game. Sorry. But this whole time you're glossing over the fact that if a game is unoptimized, we can do something about it. We shouldn't take your method, which seems to be buying new hardware every time a new demanding game comes out, which sounds ludicrous.
And you're upgrading for basically nothing, because these developers, for example, Ubisoft, they don't give a shit about PC gamers. They
If you upgraded your hardware for a game before you saw the benchmarks of the game, that is your fault. No one else's.
They've even admitted this before. My arm's getting sore here. They've admitted this before. Like, they've even admitted that they're not a fan of the PC.
Actually, Ubisoft said the opposite of that. You may be referring to this, where the Ubisoft CEO said apparently 93 to 95% of PC gamers are pirates, but that interview was also from 2012 and had like no actual stats to back up his claim. But if we're talking about Ubisoft as a company, they fucking love the PC. They're not leaving the PC anytime soon.
Market. They're not interested that much.
You are fucking wrong.
They even said 30 frames per second is playable, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that interview was from 2015, and it was in reference to console games, not PC. Again, you're just fucking wrong.
On the Series S, I'm sorry, but there's Ubisoft games now running at 60 frames per second. And that, right there, actually kicks the shit out of my PC sometimes. It actually kicks the bollocks out of my PC.
The Series S kicks the shit out of your PC. I don't believe you.
With an RTX 2080 in it. I ran Far Cry 5 on that. Yeah. 60 frames per second locked on the Xbox Series S. Locked.
Through all the digital foundry testing I could pour through, I can say you are correct. Yes, the Xbox Series S runs Far Cry 5 at 60 FPS. My only issue with this is how much of this should we really be applauding? That's number one. And number two, frankly, it's not hard to get Far Cry 5 running at 60 FPS on PC. Because, I mean, the game came out in 2018. And that kind of goes back to my first annoyance with this. Like, a console that came out in 2020 is running a 3-year-old game at 60 FPS. Like, how much are we really supposed to applaud that?
I know the resolution's degraded. I understand they put the resolution down.
Oh, they brought the resolution down to get it to 60 FPS. Right after you said it kicks the shit out of a 2080.
On the PC version with RTX 2080, because it's not that greatly optimized, I got stutters.
Far Cry 5 is one of the better optimized Ubisoft games, I thought. Am I wrong about that? I haven't played it on PC, but I remember Far Cry 5 being one of the better ones.
Frame rate drops, random drop, it just looks awful. And that's a 144Hz monitor.
Okay, so here's a few things you could do. First of all, you could look into the settings, you could look into your task manager, make sure nothing's eating away at your resources. Number two, you could play around with graphical settings, make sure everything is like actually tied to what you want it to be. Number two. Number three, you were just talking about 60 FPS, but you're running a 144 hertz monitor. So are you targeting 60 on a 144 hertz monitor? Because then, yeah, I found your problem. But also, your monitor should be able to go down to 60. Right click your wallpaper, go to display settings, and bring the hertz down to 60 if you want to play at 60. Because right now, you're comparing a 60 FPS target to a 144 FPS target. And I don't even know if you realize that's what you're doing.
I've got the 4K monitor, and I've got the 144Hz monitor. 144Hz one being on, and the 4K one being off. It was horrible. It started like crap, and it just went. It didn't feel nice. There's something weren't right with it. Something just didn't feel right.
Oh, well, I mean, if things don't feel right, then by all means, we can just ignore all the facts that you're ignoring.
It started, it was horrible, and it's just unoptimized. Talk about, Assassin's Creed Unity, for example, when that came out on the PC, and how awful that was.
And how old is that game, Assassin's Creed Unity? And how did that game run on console, Assassin's Creed Unity? Again, with the shitty arguments. You said your problems with PC have been persisting through the last more than 2 to 3 years. And the only examples you can come up with are 4+ years old. And also ran like shit on console. Yeah, the shit you said, stop it. Stop. No, stop.
How long did it really take them to actually fix the fucking game?
On PC or on console?
Now, like Series S, it runs on 60 frames per second. How long?
Oh, goody. A game from 2014 runs at 60 FPS on a console from 2020? Just stop. Bow out of this one. You have no arguments.
Seriously. So, I get it why people pay £500, £300 for a Series S, you know, PS5, whatever, over PC gaming.
If you're buying a machine for old games, like if you want a machine that runs old games really well, yes, get a PC.
You're able to play 60 frames per second games, 1080p, 1440p, whatever.
1080p 60 FPS, if that's your target for old games, get a PC. You have more games than what's on the Xbox. You have more options than what's on the Xbox. Xbox, only a handful of old games. In the grand scheme of all the backwards compatible games on the Xbox, only a handful have actually gotten performance boosts. PC, you can performance boost anything that you want. Yes, if you want to play old games, get a PC.
On a console now. Never used to. And I'm glad they've got 60 frames per second.
Yeah, I sure am glad the console's caught up to where the PC has been for like 7 years now.
So I'll tell you what, some of my fucking PC games can't even fucking achieve that.
And I can't wait for the examples that you'll definitely give.
I've spent fucking thousands of pounds on my PC, parts in my whole life, right?
And you're not spending your money smartly. Like, sorry, you're just not. You not looking into benchmarks or pricing or future proof, like you not looking into that stuff is nobody's fault but yours.
Just to play one specific game.
You upgraded hardware to play one specific game. I sure do trust everything you have to say about this platform.
This one, I've heard people buying parts just specifically for Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, and those people aren't smart. Like I know it was a big thing, and sometimes it's a thing to like, oh, buy hardware, upgrade your hardware for this big new game, and it's like, but I mean, my standards are consistent. I don't support that either. I don't support pre-ordering games. I don't support buying hardware before the game is out. See how the game runs, then if you want to upgrade your hardware, go for it. Like, yeah, ultimately it's your money. You're gonna do what you want. But buying new hardware for a game with no benchmarks yet, that's just a bad idea.
And they still can't fucking run it at 60 frames per second locked. 60 frames per second locked.
Are you really about to talk shit about how PC games can't lock 60 FPS? In a video where you're defending the consoles? Is that really where we're at now?
My fucking computer can't fucking do it.
I mean, mine can.
And that's with ray tracing off, yeah? It still can't do it.
Yeah, mine can do that perfectly. I don't know what you're on about.
That's just setting the sliders to high, and that is it. It still can't do it, even at 1080p.
With games that you're not... Wait, so are you talking about Cyberpunk, or are you talking about other games? The only PC game you've really been harping on so far has been Cyberpunk. So are you talking about Cyberpunk that can't do this? Because even you have to be smart enough to realize that Cyberpunk is an isolated incident. Cyberpunk is not a good benchmark of PC gaming. And again, Cyberpunk didn't fucking work on consoles.
I still can't achieve 60 frames per second locked. You know why? Because it's poorly optimized, developers are getting lazy, they don't give a fuck about the PC.
What are you talking about? Please use specifics. It's very painful when you don't do this.
They don't. Even on the consoles it runs like shit.
Yeah, no, just gloss over that one. It's fine.
I know the Series X, it runs about 45 to 50 frames. That's what I'm getting on the fucking RTX 2080 right now. Right?
Are you talking about Cyberpunk? I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
That's exactly what I'm fucking getting on the RTX 2080. My RTX 2080.
Okay, so they're even. Which, I mean, in reality, they're not. But, so they're even for this game? What's your point?
Series X, about 45 to 50 frames per second. RTX 2080, about the same. RTX 2080, 600 quid in the UK. Series X, 500 quid.
Yeah, have fun getting a Series X for 500 quid. Like, genuinely, have fun getting one of those for 500 quid. Let's level with each other. That's not what you're paying for it.
Fuck me, like, seriously.
No thanks, I have a hot girlfriend.
There's a big problem in the PC gaming world now. I've been PC gaming for years. It's so sad, the direction it's going. You can't buy GPUs anymore.
Yes, you can. Just maybe not the ones you want. For the same reason you can't buy the consoles you want.
The CPUs running out of stock.
CPU stock is doing just fine, last time I checked.
Like, the fucking scalpers keep fucking buying all these GPU, CPU, and you can't buy any. Same for the Xbox and the Series S.
Okay, so scalpers are buying both computer parts and consoles, but when we talk about console prices, we're using market price. When we're talking about PC prices, we're not. God, this video is terrible.
PlayStation, whatever, it's all the same. Same applies for graphics cards. They're everywhere.
And yet you were just talking about the market price of consoles, And earlier in the video, you were talking about the scalp prices of the 30 series. Isn't that interesting?
So gaming in general is going the wrong way. Developers are getting lazy, and people spending ridiculous money on hardware.
What people want to spend their money on is their own prerogative. I've kind of just accepted that. If it were up to me, Apple would be out of business, because holy shit, I've never seen people overpay for hardware as much as Apple fanboys do. When it comes to hardware, people are going to buy what they want to buy. Yes. But that's why the open market is such an important thing, and that's why the hardware market of the PC is such an important thing. New parts coming out, different companies competing with each other, getting better products out for better prices, and forcing everybody to compete. And ultimately, the consumer decides what the best choice is. Compare that to the console market, where you have, 2 versions of each console? And if you don't like them, go fuck yourself. If you want a better price, go fuck yourself. If you want to open it up, tinker with it, and future-proof it, go fuck yourself.
For PCs, which is just no benefit whatsoever.
Not a benefit. Okay, cool.
Literally no benefit whatsoever.
You don't benefit on PC from this.
You really think your RTX 3080, 3090 is going to last for another 6 years?
Yeah, I do. I don't have one, but if I did, yeah, I would expect that. Would I use it for 5 to 6 years? I don't know. But given the performance that the 10 and 20 series have been giving, long after their release date, yeah, I absolutely expect the 3080 and 3090 to be holding people over for 5 to 6 years.
Or 5 years. It won't. Not a 4K. No way, Jose. It's not going to do it.
Come back to this video in 5 to 6 years.
Those cards are going to be a 1080p card in about 5 years. Maybe even less.
Based on the amazing evidence that I've provided that gives me this conclusion.
Right? There'll be 1080p cards. You just spent £2,000 on an RTX 3090, and that'll last you for 5 years at the most.
£2,000 over 5 years. Again, with the not talking about market price. The market price on the 3090 is $1,500 US, which is actually only £1,000, give or take. Again, going back to what I said before about how you using market price only when convenient for your arguments.
Really, to reach 1080p, right? 5 years to 1080p. It won't last on 4K for long. Give it about a year.
You think the 3090 won't be able to do 4K in a year? You believe that? You believe the 3090 won't be able to do 4K in a year? Oh boy.
And that's it. Not a high detail either. In about a year, the 3090 will be playing games at 1440p, high settings, and then in about 5 years, it'll be 1080p high settings. That's how video cards work, right? This is how money works. This is how business works.
What does business have to do with that? Business has nothing to do. Money, hardware, video games, PC. What?
When the 4000 series comes out, it'll be the exact same thing. More money spending.
If you want.
Same bollocks.
No.
Unoptimized piece of shit games.
You don't know that. You've
spent ridiculous money on a GPU.
If you chose to, it's not required.
For it to run like complete shit on the PC.
You don't know that.
I've got so many games in my Steam library which are so unoptimized. I'll have to put the game on and I've switched it off.
Great. Can you name them? Just one, please?
And that's another thing. When I go play PC game, I'm on my Steam library. I play the game for 10 minutes.
Which one?
And all I'm doing in that 10 minutes, I'm just flicking through settings. All I'm doing is fucking troubleshooting shit. Download new drivers. I can't be fucked with that shit anymore.
You spend 10 minutes in the settings menu and downloading drivers for a game you won't name. I sure do believe you.
It never used to be as bad as this. It updates every time you put the game on. Update. Right?
Yeah, that's on console too now. Just get used to it. I don't like it either, but you're not going to get away from that in 2021. That's just the staple of gaming now, unfortunately.
Call of Duty is 150 gigs. I think it's even more.
Yeah, on every platform. Call of Duty is unoptimized on every platform, and it still runs better on PC. But it's unoptimized and huge on every platform. Again, this isn't an argument.
Seriously, what the fuck is going on? My SSD, I took it off. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it.
You took your SSD off because games are what?
It applies to consoles as well.
Oh, yeah, no, we'll just gloss over that. It's fine.
Call of Duty is a big game, but it's just fucking wrong anyway. I don't know what the hell they're doing at Activision. I really don't know. I don't know who the fuck make it anymore.
Yes, Activision.
But yeah, I apologise about swearing, but...
Fuck.
PC gaming and gaming in general, but PC gaming, too much money spending.
No.
For nothing you're going to receive. You're not going to The games aren't optimized as crap.
No, they're not.
Like I said, we've got loads of games on there which don't run great on my RTX 2080. Okay, the RTX 2080 is getting old now.
I mean, not really. Again, and again, who cares if it is getting old? Who cares how old a graphics card is if it's giving you good performance? You have such a console fanboy mentality. I don't know if you are a console fanboy, but you sure are talking like one. Like, oh, this hardware is X amount of years old, therefore it's bad. No. No, 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 no. No. 1070's release date, here it is. 2070's release date, here it is. These cards are perfectly viable for 1080p gaming. And again, I keep going back to 1080p gaming because that's what I personally play at. But the whole crux of my argument is variety is a good thing, more hardware is a good thing, and just because a piece of hardware is old and has been superseded by newer hardware, that doesn't mean the old hardware is unviable or a bad purchase or a bad investment or will give you a bad experience or will make your games run worse. None of those things are true.
Right, but a couple of years ago, you know, that was considered a high-end card.
Yeah, because it was new. A few years ago, the PS4 was considered the strongest console ever. Still ran games like shit.
Now look at it.
Yeah, it's still viable. I'm looking at it right now. It's viable.
It's struggling to run No Man's Sky now, for fuck's sake.
No Man's Sky. That's the other game you've ever talked about. And so throughout this entire video, the only two PC benchmarks you've brought up are Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky. And I guess Far Cry 5 briefly, but the way you brought it up was fucking stupid, so I'm not going to acknowledge it for your own sake. Like, you bringing up Far Cry 5 made your argument weaker. The only games you've brought up for PC as benchmarks are Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky. That's it. That's all you've done. You talked about the abundance of bad PC ports, the abundance of problems I've had with all these games on PC. Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky. That's it. Like, what is this?
At 1080p. The games that aren't optimized as shit. The 5-year bollocks, like, oh, that can't last 5 to 10 years. Like, it's fucking bollocks.
It's literally not bollocks.
It's fucking bollocks. That's how business work.
Again, what does that have to do with business?
You spend the money and that's it. That's how businesses work.
That's not what you fool.
Anyway, PC gaming is just not in the right situation right now. Games are broke, full of updates, which have just
updates. Imagine updating your games. Imagine games having updates.
An update will add a fucking new shirt. I'm expecting a performance update with Cyberpunk. Every time I go on it, nothing's fucking changed. Seriously, might as well go and get a Series X and play it at 50 frames per second like my RTX 2080 does.
50 frames per second. Huh.
For what, 600 quid? Anyway, that's my thought. That's my rant over. PC gaming is not dying, but it's just going in the wrong way. You know, it's a shame. Can't get GPUs anywhere.
Yes, you can. If you know where to look and you know what you're looking for.
It's just an absolute fucking shit show. Anyway, that's my thought. Like and subscribe. Peace out. And let me know in the comments. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank God that is over. Oh, shit. Oops. I almost deleted the audio recording while I was recording. That would have been a problem. Because I've been recording for 42 minutes and I was not about to go do this one again. I've actually done that before. I had a video once where I recorded the whole 30-minute response, and I forget which video this was. This was like a year ago, but I recorded like a 30-minute response, and then realized I did it on the wrong mic, so I had to record the whole fucking thing again, and just like listening to the original recording and trying to just like voice over myself, like dub over my own shitty mic quality. I forget what video that was. If I find it, I'll put it in the description. I don't remember which one it was. But anyways, closing thoughts here. PC gaming is not in a terrible place. The hardware world is just in an awkward place right now. Almost nothing you brought up against the PC in this video is actually an exclusive to PC problem, and in a lot of cases, they're just not even problems. You buying something you didn't want is nobody's fault but yours. You making a purchase before having the information you needed is nobody's fault but yours. And for the love of Pete, can we stop bringing up how the consoles run 5 to 6 year old games as a selling point? Like, the consoles being able to run some old games at better performance should not be a selling point. That should be an expectation. And the fact that it's not an expectation can have some repercussions in the future. Mark my words. Stop being complacent with picking and choosing backwards compatibility. And again, if you want backwards compatibility, if you want to run older games at greater settings, at greater performance, get a PC. It's the only platform where you can actually do that on every game. Oh boy, I'm not sure what I'm going to title this one. Maybe something about how this dude thinks the RTX 3090 won't be able to do 4K in a year. Anyways, toodles.